rights are God-given. They are not prescribed to you by the state. You were born with these rights. And a perfect example that I always give is the right to defend your life. You have a right to life, and that right extends to defending your own life, which is why the self-defense laws in this country are abhorrent. I've been in situations where I'm a trained pistol shooter and I could not use my gun on an attacker. I had to try and run away and cower until I could call for help, and harm had already been done. And we're talking about in my own house, to be made to feel defenseless and a victim when I know that I could have defended myself if I had the legal ability to be able to do that without getting charged with murder, when I was the one who was under duress. The self-defense laws in this country has made us a nation of victims, and I get so fed up with the domestic violence debate all the time. It's more money for services, more money for frontline police, more money for this, more education campaigns for men because all men are evil. That's the message that the government puts out. Not once has the debate ever considered, how about we give the people the power to defend themselves in their own homes and their own properties? And I even wrote a submission to the Royal Commission into Domestic Violence here in South Australia, where I am at the moment, and where one of the domestic violence incidents occurred in my youth. And they didn't even mention my whole paper that I wrote about self-defense. They didn't even mention it in their reports about all the submissions they got, all the public hearings they held. When I asked if I could come along to a public hearing, we're not necessarily hearing from all victims, was the response I got. And then I went on the website and they had been very, very specific about the type of people, the DEI that they wanted to get and who they were going to talk to. And I didn't tick those boxes. So my voice is not as important as these who have certain characteristics which people cannot control. So that's the state of that in our country, that's another big thing that I've marched to Ray, Black Guns Matter, you have the right to self-defense. That does not mean I want every Australian armed and ready to go. I want people to be able to defend themselves through de-escalation tactics, through non-lethal means of self-defense like pepper spray, which is legal to buy in WA, but when it comes to using it, it's a grey area. I had a message before from a guy who listened to my interview with Dr. John Lott Jr., who's a criminologist in America, and all he studies is gun statistics, gun crime. That's his bread and butter. And when I told him about what the state of the laws are in Australia with self-defense, he was horrified. He said, because that means that the state is making vulnerable people reliant on the state to save them, when we know that that's physically impossible. It's just not possible. And so he also said it was evil that we have been put in this position by our governments. And that's one thing, if I could change overnight, I would give every Australian the right to defend their life, because I do not want anyone to have to go through what I had to go through as a person who can defend myself with a firearm, but knowing if I did, I would be the one put behind bars